Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to PPS Theory Sessions. Just in the last week, we completed our eighth unit, which was based on structures in a C programming language. So, if we quickly recall that thing, then structure is nothing but a collection of elements having same or may not be having same data type, right? So array is collection of elements having same data type, but if you still want to have a collection which does not have a same data type, then you should go for structure. So struct, then structure name, and then in the curly bracket you define all the members, and then you can have a variable for structure. Structure members will not acquire any memory until and unless you declare a variable of structure, you won't be having any memory allocated. So once you declare a variable, then you will be allocated a memory. For structure, it is going to be the total size of all the members, right? So you can simultaneously store all the members inside that variable. To access those members, you use dot operator, member operator, right? Then we looked at structure and array, structure and function, structure and pointers, and so on. We pass structure as a parameter to function. We return structure variable from the function. We took array of structures and we accessed all the members using pointer variable also. In that case, instead of having dot operator, we go for arrow operator. And before we end that unit, we also looked at union, a topic beyond syllabus. So union is much similar to the structure, but the only difference you'll find in union and structure is union can have only one member at a time, and the total size of union variable will be the size of maximum size member. Okay, so that's the difference between structure and union, and we completed that unit. Now today we want to start our next unit, unit number 9, second last unit from the syllabus, which is dynamic memory allocation. Now let's go through few theory points and why we need this dynamic memory allocation and all those understandings, and then we'll look at a program also, how we can achieve this thing. So first of all, this is what we are going to cover as per the topics given in the syllabus. We'll understand what is the dynamic memory allocation, why we need it, and when we need it. And then there are a few inbuilt functions to support dynamic memory allocation. So memory allocation, malloc function, calculated allocation, calloc function, reallocate function, realloc, and using any of these, once you allocate a memory, and once you are done with your task, you should make it free. So the free function. So whatever memory we acquire, once our task is over, we should make it free. And to make it free, we have a free function. So this is what we are going to see inside this entire unit. Now let's understand why we need dynamic memory allocation. So sometimes we come across a situation where we do not know what user is going to provide us, what amount of data user is going to give us. We don't know whether user will require 60 student detail or 10 student detail or 5 student detail and so on, right? So we are not sure that end user is going to store 5 student data or 15 student data. But when we are writing our program, if we are using array, then we need to give a size of that array. Okay, we need to define a size of array when we declare array variable. So what we do is we declare an array of size, let's say 50. We have declared an array of size 50, and then we complete our program and we run it. Now, end user is going to say that, oh, I only want to store 5 student data. Then remaining 45 student memory, the memory allocated for remaining 45 students is just wasted. Yeah. So if you do not know when the program runs exactly how much memory you will require, right? In that case, what you should do is, instead of going for static memory allocation, you go for dynamic memory allocation. So what you do is, you actually want your user to tell you what amount of data he or she wants to store. So if user says, okay, I want to store 5 student data, then runtime, we are going to allocate a memory for 5 student only. Right? So at that time, at runtime, we get a chunk of memory. We allocate that memory, whatever amount of memory we require. Only that amount of memory we are going to have allocated to us. And this is the way we can say this program goes a most efficient way, and it will not waste any of the memory in your system. So you do not use any more resources which is not required. And this is one example. Okay, this was just an example to make you understand why we need dynamic memory allocation. So at runtime, if you want to decide, okay, this much amount of memory I will require, and then you go for allocation of that memory, that's the process which is called dynamic memory allocation. So that's the requirement. Now, how do we achieve that thing in a C programming language? So when a C program runs, a number of services are being made available to the system, from the system to the running program. And one of those services we have is memory manager. Now that's being done by operating system, so we need not to be bother of this entire process. Now we just need to know how, or behind the screen inside the operating system, there is one service responsible to make this happen, right? So memory manager is something that looks after the entire memory. And when we simply ask that memory manager to allocate us a memory block, then if it is available, it is going to allocate us that memory. And once we are done with our task, it would be nice that we should make it free again. We give it back to the memory manager. So whatever memory we have taken, we are going to make that memory free, and we are going to hand it over back to memory manager, so other programs can use that memory when it requires. So there is a memory manager, and it is going to make this thing happen. But the question comes now, how we intimate memory manager that we need this amount of memory. When there is a requirement, how do we instruct memory manager to allocate us a memory, right? And for that, we have number of inbuilt functions inside C. So we simply use the header file, standard library stdlib.h header file, and once we include this header file, we have a lot of inbuilt functions available which we can use, and we are going to use some of those functions which is related to dynamic memory allocation, and the list we have already discussed: malloc, calloc, realloc, and free. So malloc is memory allocation, which allocates a block of memory to us if it is free. Similar kind of way, calloc is also going to allocate a memory block to us. So malloc and calloc both are used just to allocate a memory block. Now, syntax of these two functions are different, and we'll see what is the difference between malloc and calloc later. Okay. So, malloc and calloc, these two functions are used to allocate a memory. Few of the students are complaining about voice. Now, how about the voice now? About breaking the voice, I believe that you should check your internet connection. I'm in the laboratory session right now. And I'm using the college internet connection, so I don't think we have any problem in this internet connection. Even we have conducted one workshop from this location earlier. So just to confirm, how about now? Okay. So going back to this discussion, malloc and calloc, memory allocation and calculated allocation, or whatever you say, but malloc and calloc, these two functions are used to allocate a memory block. Syntaxes are somewhat different, and we'll see that later. Then the third function is realloc. So if you just want to reallocate a memory block, so maybe let's say earlier you have allocated a memory block of 20 bytes, and later you come to know that, okay, 20 bytes are not enough. I need to have 30 bytes. So what you'll do is you are going to reallocate your memory block. Instead of having 20 bytes, now you need 30 bytes. So if you already have a memory block allocated to you using malloc or calloc, and now you have decided to go for the larger memory block, then you should go for reallocation. And the last one is free. So for any reason, if we have acquired a memory, then once we are done with our task, we make that memory block free again, right? So these are the 4 functions we are going to cover here. Okay. Yeah, so now let's start these functions one by one, and let's have a look at malloc function first. Memory allocation function, malloc. So using malloc, we can allocate a memory block dynamically at runtime during the execution. So what this function will do, it will try to get a chunk of memory block that we have requested. We are going to request a memory block of a particular size. Okay. So this function is going to check whether that amount of memory is available or not. And then it returns a pointer to that memory location. जहाँ पे भी उसको वो memory block मिलेगा, वो क्या करेगा, वो मेमोरी ब्लॉक का एड्रेस जो है वो रिटर्न करेगा. इट्स गोइंग टू रिटर्न अ पॉइंटर टू दैट मेमोरी लोकेशन only if it could find that memory. If the required memory is available, then it is going to return us address. If that memory block is not available, then it returns null pointer. We have discussed null. Null means nothing, right? At the time of data types and data, we discussed null. So it is going to return us null pointer if memory is not available. So when we call a malloc function, either we are going to have the memory address or we are going to have null, depending on whether memory is available or not. So once we execute this function and whatever return value we receive, we must always check whether we have a memory location, whether we have the memory address actually, or we have the null pointer. So before we start using that memory block, we should check whether we have the address or we have the null. Right. So that's how we use, but what is the actual syntax? Now malloc requires one parameter, remember, and that parameter is going to be the size of the memory block that we require, that we want, and that is going to be in the in terms of bytes. Okay, how many bytes we need, that's what we are going to pass. So we can say malloc and into the bracket 10, then it is going to allocate 10 bytes to me. If I say malloc into the bracket 50, then it is going to allocate 50 bytes of memory to me, and I'll receive the address of those 50 bytes, right? So it requires only one parameter, which is the size of memory block. Now how do you decide what will be the size of memory block? Because it is always depending on what kind of data you want to store. So if you want to store integer value, you will require 2 bytes. If you want to store float value, it will require 4 bytes. And even that depends on the platform or the operating system, whether you have 32-bit OS or 64-bit OS and so on. So it is better to always go for system dependent calculation. Okay, it is always better to go for system dependent calculation. So if you want to store 10 values, total 10 values of integer data type, then you multiply 10 with size of integer. So this size of operator is going to give you the actual size of integer, the requirement of integer in the running system. It can be 2 byte, it can be 4 byte, whatever. So based on that, we'll multiply it by 10. So we actually want to store 10 integer numbers here, right? So that's the reason we should go for size of, for the actual calculation of your memory. Okay, so that's how we calculate our requirement of the memory, and then we pass this value, this amount, to the malloc function, and it is going to allocate us a memory block. So because memory allocation, malloc function, returns a pointer, it actually returns the address. Now that address is going to be the address of the memory block that we have requested. If we have requested 20 bytes, then it is going to be the 20 byte memory block and the initial address. Now system doesn't know that I'm going to store integer value inside that memory or float value inside that memory. So it returns the pointer of type void. It is going to return the pointer or the address of void type. And we must use casting facility, inbuilt casting or explicit casting we have to go for, right? Implicit casting nahi hoga, that's why we need to go for explicit casting. Now what is casting? Casting is nothing but changing one data type to another data type, right? So we need to cast this address from void to the required data type. If you want to store integer value, then you have to cast this address to integer star, integer pointer. If you want to store float value, then you have to cast this address to float pointer, and so on. So it makes that memory block compatible with whatever data you want to store there. Okay, so actually if you want to store 10 integers, Then we always go for size of int multiply by 10. We pass that value to malloc, and malloc is going to return us void pointer. We will typecast is that address to that pointer to integer pointer, integer star. So we have a pointer to integer, and that's why we need to typecast it to int pointer. So when we go for this casting, it is going to make it confirmed that compiler does not produce any error when we try to access or when we try to assign some data at that place. So combinedly, whatever we have discussed till now, this is what the syntax of using malloc. You have malloc function, and then you are having one parameter, which is the byte size, what amount of memory you require. That is going to return the address, and then you are going to typecast that address, cast type star. You are going to typecast that address before you store that address to some memory variable or a pointer variable. Okay, this is the syntax. So any query till now? This is the syntax of using malloc. We will look at one example also, but any query or question till now? What is malloc? It is just a function, inbuilt function coming from stdlib.h, standard library.h header file. So we have to include stdlib.h file first, and then we may use malloc function. Malloc function requires one parameter, and that is going to be the total size of memory block that is required. When we call a malloc function, either it is going to return the address or it is going to return the null. If you do not have enough memory, then it will return null. If enough memory is available, then it will allocate that memory to you and return the starting address. Now that starting address is going to be of type void pointer, because system doesn't know what kind of data we are going to store there. So that address is going to be of type void. We have to convert that void pointer to the required data type pointer, so compiler executor later on does not make any error, generate any error. So we are going to typecast that address to the required data type, and then we store that address inside a variable, pointer variable. Now here pointer is important when we go for runtime memory allocation. Everything will be handled by pointer, remember. Okay, so we have the starting address of that memory block, and then just like you use pointer to array, you use this pointer to access this memory location. Yeah, so if we take a look at this example in a single slide, then this example is to, let's say, have a memory allocated to us for 10 integer values. So what we do is runtime, we allocate a memory using malloc function. What will be the size of that memory? So actually we want to store 10 integers. So we write 10 multiplied by size of integer. If integer is of 2 bytes, then this is going to allocate us 20 bytes total. Okay, so this one will allocate us at 20 bytes, and then we typecast that memory address to integer star, and we store that address in a pointer variable numbers. Make sure that numbers is a pointer variable having integer data type. Now then we should go for checking whether this numbers is having some address or is having a null pointer. So what we do is we make some conditions here. If numbers is equals to null, then no memory has been allocated to us and we exit from our program. We terminate the program. अगर आपके पास मेमोरी नहीं है तो आप आगे जाके कुछ कैलकुलेशन नहीं कर पाओगे, right? So we exit the program. Otherwise, in else part, we do whatever we want to work upon. We store some data in that memory location, we calculate some answers, and then we print it and all those things, right? So all of the rest will go under this else code, or maybe you can omit this else part because you are directly exiting your code if you do not have that memory location, right? So this is how we allocate a memory at runtime. And this is the basic code of requesting a memory block using malloc function. So let's have a look at the code or one example, one program to understand this entire process. Okay. So let's jump into the coding environment and let us go for one program here. Now before we make use of malloc function and pointers, let us have a normal program where we declare an array of integers. So let's say integer array A. Now I don't know what number of students or what actually amount of numbers I'm going to store here. So if I'm not sure initially, then I'm going to declare an array of some fixed size. But later on, I'm going to ask user that how many numbers you have. So user will give me that numbers. So we'll store that inside n. And we are going to use for loop. So we'll take one loop control variable I here. Okay. So we have declared few variables. I to control a loop, n to ask user to give the numbers, and those numbers we are going to store inside this array. So a of 20. Now I'm not sure how many numbers user will have, so at present I declare my array of 20 size, right? So let us print the memory allocated for array. Okay, memory allocated for array A, right? And that's going to be, I'm going to use size of, so you all know that we need to go for long unsigned integer. And what we do here is we make use of size of operator, and we'll pass our array A inside. So that is going to give me the size of this entire array, which means for this array what amount of memory has been allocated to me. When I declare this variable, how many bytes have been allocated to me, regardless of asking user to give us any numbers. So if I run this code right now, it is going to give me what amount of memory has been allocated to me, because this was the static memory or the static variable allocation of memory is going to be static, not exactly variable static declaration of a variable. Okay, variable itself is not static, please make this point clear. It's a normal variable, but declaration of this variable is a static one. So to store 20 integer values inside the array, if one integer requires 4 bytes, then 20 integers will require 80 bytes here. and 80 bytes has been allocated to me regardless of any data I store inside this array. अभी तक हमने एक भी वैल्यू यूजर के पास से गेट नहीं की है, ना ही हमने उसको स्टोर किया है. But still, the block of 80 bytes have been allocated to us. Okay? वो 80 bytes का ब्लॉक जो है मेमोरी के अंदर वो रिजर्व करके रख दिया है. It has been reserved for us to store some data. So now what we do is we go and ask user, say, how many numbers you have, right? And we scan that answer from user. So %d ampersand n. The user is going to tell you that he or she is having 5 numbers or 10 numbers or 15 numbers and so on. And then you are going to ask user to enter those numbers one by one. So printf okay, enter those numbers one by one, right? And then to take all those numbers, we are going to have a for loop here. So inside a for loop, we'll go for I equals to 0, I less than n, because that's what the numbers user has given to us, and then I plus plus. And inside this for loop, we'll say that, okay, printf enter number 1, enter number 2, enter number 3, and so on. So I plus 1 here. And then we scan that number, %d ampersand. Now, where do we want to store those numbers? Inside this array. So I'm going to have a of I. So I've gone for this code very quickly. Let me revise this thing. What we do here is we ask user first, how many numbers do you have? So user will say either 5 or 6 or 10 or 15 or something, and that we are going to store inside n. So we now know that user is having 5 numbers or 10 numbers or 15 numbers or something. And then we ask user to say, okay, now enter those numbers one by one. And we say enter number 1, then enter number 2, then enter number 3, then enter number 4, and so on. Now, how many numbers we are going to ask? Equals to n. So 0 to less than n. So we print or we take those numbers here. And then if you want to print those numbers back, let's say this printing is the task that we want to perform. So we say you have entered let's not make a new line here. We don't want to take anything here. And let us print that number only. Number, comma, and space. And here we are going to print a of I. That's it. Okay. So what we do now is we declare a variable, array variable, so that enough amount of memory will be allocated to us already. Then we ask user how many numbers you have. And those many numbers we are going to ask user, please enter one by one. And then we print all those numbers one by one back to the screen. Okay, so let me save this code and run that code one more time on the output screen here so that you can have a look at the entire output. So this program says memory allocated for your array A is 80 bytes. 80 bytes has been allocated to you, and now it is asking how many numbers you have. Okay, I'll say I only have 3 numbers. So then it says, okay, enter those numbers one by one. It says enter number 1. So my first number is 7. Then it asks me to enter second number. Okay, second number is 6. Number 3 is 5, and done. So it printed those numbers back on the output screen, 7, 6 and 5. You have entered 7, 6 and 5. But what amount of memory I have used here? Can anyone tell me what exact amount of memory I have used in this entire program to store these numbers? Can anyone tell me how many bytes we have used? Correct, Vishnu, that's the correct answer. We have only used 12 bytes because this system makes use of 4 bytes when we want to store integer data, and we have stored 3 values, 3 integer values. So total 12 bytes we have used, and the amount of memory allocated to us was 80 bytes. So from those 80 bytes, we have used only 12 bytes. Remaining 68 bytes we have simply wasted here, because 80 bytes were reserved. After a reservation, we are not making use of that memory block. So it is only wasting that memory. Even other programs cannot make use of that memory block, which is actually reserved by our program. And that's the huge problem if we go for this kind of वेरिएबल डिक्लेरेशन एंड मेमोरी अलोकेशन. अगर आप पहले से बड़ा एरे डिक्लेयर करके रख लोगे और एंड यूज़र अगर उसको यूज़ नहीं करेगा, तो ये कुछ इस तरह से हुआ कि आपके प्रोग्राम ने मेमोरी तो खा ली लेकिन उसको यूज़ नहीं किया. सो व्हेन एनीवन इज़ गोइंग टू रन योर प्रोग्राम विल अक्वायर अ लार्ज अमाउंट ऑफ मेमोरी जो और कोई यूज़ नहीं कर पाएगा, लेकिन वो खुद भी यूज़ नहीं करेगा. इट्स समथिंग लाइक योर प्रोग्राम इज़ नॉट यूजिंग दैट मेमोरी एंड योर प्रोग्राम डज नॉट अलाउ एनी अदर प्रोग्राम टू यूज़ दैट मेमोरी ऑल्सो. Yeah, so that's the problem, and this is where dynamic memory allocation comes to the picture. If this is the case, then what we should go for? If it depends on user's input, if it depends on user, how many numbers your user is having, in that case, instead of going for this static array memory allocation, what we do is we dynamically allocate a memory, and whatever that dynamic memory allocation has been done for us, हम उसका एड्रेस जो है वो एक पॉइंटर वेरिएबल में स्टोर करेंगे. So we need one pointer variable. I'm going to declare it as *p. So that is my pointer variable. Okay, that is actually my pointer variable. So now we are going for dynamic memory allocation here. Now first of all, what we do is we use a malloc function. Now if you want to use this malloc function, then excuse me, yeah, if you want to use malloc function, then you have to include a header file, stdlib.h file. So let us include that one first. Include stdlib.h. okay, standard library header file. Then you will be able to use this malloc function. Now malloc function requires one parameter, and that parameter is going to be the number of bytes that you require. अगर आप यहाँ पे 5 लिखते हो then it is going to allocate you 5 bytes. 5 bytes it is going to allocate to you. If you write 15 here, then it is going to allocate 15 bytes to you, to your program actually. So runtime, it is going to allocate us a memory block. And runtime, now we are aware that what numbers user is going to store there. How many numbers user is going to store there. So user has already given us numbers. How many numbers he has? So he has n numbers. So we say that, okay, I want to have a memory block which is enough to store n numbers. I want to allocate a memory block using malloc which is having enough size to store total n numbers. Now malloc requires number of bytes and we are saying how many numbers. So this is not proper. So we say that, okay, I want to store n numbers which is of integer data type. And integer data type requires 4 bytes or 2 bytes. So for that we say size of. So what amount of memory I require? I require n elements memory which is of integer data type having this much size. So we simply multiply n with size of integer and that's going to give me the total amount of memory I require. So this will allocate that amount of memory block. So just before we allocate this memory, let us print what is actually this number, what this number is actually. So I'm going to print some, or I'm going to have some printf statements here. Memory allocated for pointer, okay, pointer p, and I'm going to say size of p, and then I'll say that, okay, memory allocated for data using malloc, and that is going to be n multiplied by size of integer. So what amount of memory we are allocating here? N multiplied by size of integer. So that's what I'm going to print first. Okay, so हमने p की size भी print कर ली and the amount of memory that we are going to ask वो भी हमने print कर लिया, and then we allocate a memory using malloc function. Now malloc function is going to return the memory address. वो memory address return करेगा, तो उसको store करने के लिए हमें pointer variable चाहिए. So we write p equals to, okay, what we do here is we write p equals to pointer variable equals to memory allocation. Now as we all know, malloc is going to return the address of type void. It is going to return void type. But on the other hand, the variable that we use, p, now p is actually integer pointer type. Okay, so to avoid that mismatch, we are going to typecast this address to integer star. जो भी मेमोरी का एड्रेस हमें मिलेगा वो एड्रेस को हम इंटीजर पॉइंटर में कन्वर्ट करेंगे. वी आर गोइंग टू टाइपकास्ट दैट एड्रेस टू इंटीजर पॉइंटर and then we will store it inside variable p, and this is the actual syntax or the actual statement that you are going to write when you want to allocate a memory. Right? Yeah, so now before we run this code, I'm going to just have a look at some chats. Okay, Miraj is asking n multiply by 4 na chale. Yes, n multiply by 4 is going to work for my system. Okay, because I know that 4 bytes are required for integer. But what I told you earlier, we always go for system dependent calculation. This program is going to run perfectly even in Turbo C, because their size of integer will be 2 bytes, and that's why we use size of, because I'm going to run this code anywhere in any system. Still I want my program to run perfectly, and that's why I make use of size of integer here. Okay. Yeah, next Nirmal is asking, what if we define, or what if we take size first and then we define array? Look, the first thing first, at the time of declaration of array, I told you this is going to be the constant size. Inside this square bracket, when you allocate or when you declare a variable, inside this square bracket, it must be constant value. Okay? It cannot be a variable. So Nirmal, whatever you are proposing is not possible in C programming language. If you say a of n at some later point of time, and before that statement you take value of n also, still it is not possible. Okay, next point, Nirmal is asking, for multiplication we have to use star operator, not x. Yes, no, not x. X के जैसा कोई operator है ही नहीं. Operators, all the operators we have covered, I believe, in second or third unit. So please make sure that you know all those operators. Multiplication is star. Now, at this point of time, you might be confused. Star is multiplication also, and star is dereferencing operator also. Yes, it is in C language. If you are using star in between two operands, then this is going to be the multiplication. But if you are going to use star as a unary operator somewhere with the address or the data type, then it is going to be the pointer. Okay. Yeah, so what this will do, it is going to allocate us a memory that we require, and we store that memory address inside P. So using pointer variable P, we can access that memory location. Okay, and using that memory location, again we are going to ask user to enter some data and print some data back. So I simply copy and paste this code. So we say enter those numbers one by one again, and we are going to ask user to enter the number, and we are going to store that number, but that number will not be stored inside A. Rather than going for array A, now we have pointer P. So using P, we are going to store some data here, right? So we can say that, okay, P plus I can go for temporary calculation, right? P plus I, or you can use P and then make P plus plus, permanent change in the address. So you can go for any possible way. And then we say you have entered, and we are going to print P of I. Now both these are temporary calculations. With pointers, if you are managing array, then you can use P plus I or P of I. Both these are temporary calculations, right? And this will work. There is no problem there. So this is how we can allocate a memory runtime. We make use of that memory. Now, it would be better that we make that memory free once we are done. So before I end my program here, okay, I should make that memory free. And to make it free, we just need to call this free function, and we need to pass our pointer variable as a parameter. That's it. Okay, that's how we make it free. हमने memory allocate की, हमने वो memory use की, and when we are done, हमने उस memory location को free कर दिया. So let us save this code and run this code now and check user जो number देता है वो array से हम print कर सकते हैं, and we can print those numbers with pointer also. But at the time of this one array, we are having some size, but at the time of pointer and dynamic memory allocation, we have some different size. So we want to make it clear, right? So let me clear this output screen and run this code. So initially it says memory allocated for array is 80 bytes. So total 80 bytes has been allocated to you. But I go for 4 numbers only, which is 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it has printed, you have entered 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 numbers. But then we go for a pointer variable, right? So it says memory allocated for pointer P is 8 bytes. So जो एक pointer variable आपने declare किया है, that pointer variable requires, look, that pointer variable itself requires 8 bytes, क्योंकि वहाँ पे आप एड्रेस स्टोर करना चाहते हो, right? To store the address, a pointer variable requires 8 bytes. Okay. Then later on, you have gone for memory allocation, runtime memory allocation. And what amount of memory you allocate? N multiplied by size of integer. So the memory allocated for data using malloc is 16, 16. Okay, so the 16 bytes has been allocated to you runtime. So total how many bytes? 24 bytes you have been allocated. 8 bytes for pointer variable and 16 bytes to store your actual data. Total 24 bytes have been allocated. Now look, 24 bytes is much less than 80 bytes. So instead of going for 80 bytes allocated, we should go for 24 bytes. And still this program will work perfectly. So let me show you, just to differentiate that this array and this pointer is different, I'm going to give some different values here, like 5, 6, 7 and 8. And it is going to give me 5, 6, 7 and 8. मैंने ये अलग नंबर इसलिए डाले कि आपको ये पता चले एरे अलग है 1, 2, 3, 4 एंड पॉइंटर का मेमोरी लोकेशन अलग है 5, 6, 7, 8. I am not printing that array again. I am printing that memory location here. And still my program works like just like the previous one. And this gives you clear differentiation why we should go for dynamic memory allocation in some cases. Okay. So that's all for today. We will stop here. It's time now. We have started with basic understanding of dynamic memory allocation and why we require. And then we have looked at one function, malloc, and the other one, free, today. So we'll stop here. Tomorrow, we are going to again revise this memory allocation portion. And then we will have a look at calloc and realloc functions. So that's all from my side. If you have any query, you can type in a chat box. Or otherwise, you may leave this meeting and join the next one. Thank you. Thank you everyone for being part of this session. See you tomorrow.